Ladies and gentlemen, most people wake up every morning hoping life will change, but very few wake up prepared to change themselves. Everyone wants success, better income, stronger confidence, meaningful work, freedom of choice, yet only a small percentage ever understand what actually creates it. Success is not luck, it is not talent, it is not a miracle. Success is a habit. There are people with resources who stay average, and there are people with nothing who rise fast. The difference is not where they start. The difference is how they think, what they practice, and what they tolerate every single day. You can work hard and still stay broke. You can stay busy and still go nowhere. You can feel motivated and still remain stuck. Why? Because success is not built in emotional moments. It is built in disciplined minutes. It is not about what you do once in a while. It is about what you do consistently when nobody is watching. Ladies and gentlemen, the ultra-successful are not extraordinary by birth. They are extraordinary by behavior. They design their identity before they chase money. They build discipline before they demand results. They structure their lives instead of reacting to circumstances. In the next few minutes, you are going to discover the habits that quietly separate average people from elite performers. You will learn how successful people upgrade their thinking before upgrading their lifestyle, why discipline is more powerful than motivation, how small daily rituals compound into massive results, and how responsibility becomes the gateway to freedom. This is not entertainment. This is mental training. So don't listen casually. Listen with intention, because one idea in this speech can change the direction of your next 5 years. And by the time we finish, you will not only understand success, you will begin becoming the kind of person success is forced to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, most people make the same mistake when they begin chasing success. They focus entirely on what they want: more money, better work, stronger confidence, freedom, but they ignore the most important factor: who they must become to earn those results. Ultra-successful people understand a powerful principle: achievement is not something you chase, it is something you attract by the person you are becoming. Before income changes, the individual must change. Before lifestyle changes, the mindset must change. Before results improve, standards must improve. You do not wake up one morning and suddenly become successful. You slowly, deliberately become the type of human being that success naturally follows. Most people say, when I succeed, I'll change. The ultra-successful say, I'll change, and then success will come. Why? Because results do not transform people. People transform results. Your habits are born from your identity. How you see yourself controls how you act when nobody is watching. If you see yourself as careless, you behave carelessly. If you see yourself as disciplined, you behave with discipline. If you see yourself as average, your standards remain average. But if you see yourself as a professional, your actions automatically rise. Two people can be given the same opportunity. One multiplies it, the other wastes it. The difference is not intelligence, luck, or background. The difference is self-image. Ultra-successful people work on themselves more than they work on their jobs. They become learners before leaders. They become disciplined before rich. They become responsible before powerful. They ask better questions. Instead of asking, what do I want? They ask, what must I become to deserve what I want? If you want confidence, you practice courage. If you want respect, you practice integrity. If you want wealth, you practice value creation. You cannot keep the same thinking and expect a new destiny. You cannot repeat old habits and still create a new future. The person you are today is perfectly designed to produce the life you currently have. If you want a different life, you must redesign the person producing it. Ultra-successful people consciously upgrade themselves. They read to reshape thinking. They train to rebuild discipline. They reflect to sharpen awareness. Growth is not accidental. It is intentional. They are always asking, what am I becoming? Not just, what am I getting? Because getting without becoming is temporary. But becoming without getting is impossible. Results always follow identity. Many people want success without preparation. They want reward without responsibility. They want lifestyle without learning. But life does not work that way. Power without character becomes dangerous. Money without mindset disappears. Opportunity without discipline wasted. That is why ultra-successful people protect the inner world before chasing the outer world. Every habit you practice is a vote for the type of person you are creating. Every time you wake up early, you vote for discipline. Every time you study while others scroll, you vote for growth. Every time you take responsibility instead of making excuses, you vote for leadership. Over time, those votes create identity, and identity creates destiny. So stop asking only, how do I get more? Start asking, how do I become more? Because the marketplace does not reward potential, it rewards value. Life does not respond to wishes, it responds to character. When your identity rises, your income rises. When your standards rise, your results rise. When your thinking rises, your future rises. Build the habit before you build the income. Build the thinker before you build the empire. Build the person before you build the position. Ladies and gentlemen, success is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by the person you choose to become every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest misunderstandings about success is that it depends on how you feel. Most people let emotion decide their action. If they feel motivated, they work. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel confident, they try. If they feel afraid, they retreat. Ultra successful people live by a different rule. They do not ask how they feel, they ask what is required. Emotion is temporary. Discipline is reliable. Motivation comes and goes like weather. Some days you feel powerful. Some days you feel distracted. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you feel tired. If your progress depends on mood, your results will always be unstable. That is why the ultra successful build systems that work even when feelings fail. You will never feel ready every day, but you can be disciplined every day. Discipline is the ability to act on long-term purpose instead of short-term comfort. It is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Comfort says rest. Discipline says respect your future. Comfort says skip it today. Discipline says consistency builds destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, discipline is not punishment, it is protection. It protects your goals from your excuses. It protects your future from your impulses. Most people wait for inspiration. The ultra-successful create momentum. And momentum is born from small actions repeated without negotiation. Think about how many dreams die in negotiation. I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel like it today. My life is busy right now. Ultra-successful people remove negotiation from their schedule. They do not argue with the alarm clock. They do not argue with the plan. They do not argue with their standards. They decide once and then follow through many times. Discipline also builds confidence. You do not become confident by thinking positive thoughts. You become confident by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you show up when it is uncomfortable, you send a message to your mind, I am reliable. I finish what I start. I respect my goals. And when your mind trusts you, your performance improves automatically. Another truth, discipline creates freedom. Most people think freedom is doing whatever you want. That is not freedom. That is chaos. Real freedom is earning control over your time, money, health, and direction. And discipline is the price you pay for that control. When you are disciplined with time, you gain time. When you are disciplined with money, you gain security. When you are disciplined with health, you gain energy. Lack of discipline feels good now and hurts later. Discipline hurts now and feels good later. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. Ultra-successful people choose temporary discomfort over permanent disappointment. They also design their lives to make discipline easier. They plan their days, they prepare their environment, they remove distractions, they reduce decision fatigue. They do not rely only on willpower, they build architecture for success. Because willpower is emotional, systems are logical. They win before the day begins. They decide priorities and protect them. They do not allow the world to steal their focus. Ladies and gentlemen, stop asking, do I feel like it? Start asking, does my future require it? If your goals matter, your discipline must matter more than your comfort. You will never accidentally become successful. You become successful intentionally, repeatedly, and sometimes uncomfortably. And when discipline becomes your default behavior, motivation becomes unnecessary because consistency has already taken its place. So don't wait for the mood. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Build discipline, and discipline will build your destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, success is never the result of one dramatic moment. It is the result of small actions practiced daily. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can become in a year. Ultra-successful people understand one powerful truth. Your future is created in your daily routine. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. That is why the ultra-successful focus less on big dreams and more on daily discipline rituals. They do not wait for transformation. They schedule it. Every morning before the world distracts them, they invest in their mind. They read, they think, they review their priorities. They prepare mentally before they perform physically. Because if you win the morning, you usually win the day. Most people wake up and react. Ultra-successful people wake up and design. They decide what matters before emails decide for them. They choose intention before interruption. A daily growth ritual is not complicated. It is consistent. It might be 20 minutes of reading, writing goals, practicing a skill, exercising, or planning. But the power is not in the activity. The power is in the repetition. Small improvements compound. 1% better every day becomes unstoppable over time. If you improve your thinking, you improve your income. If you improve your skills, you improve your value. If you improve your discipline, you improve your results. The ultra-successful never stop learning. They treat education as a lifestyle, not a phase. School may end, but development never does. They read when others scroll. They practice when others relax. They invest when others consume. Ladies and gentlemen, success is not owned. It is rented, and the rent is due every day. Another part of daily ritual is reflection. Ultra-successful people evaluate their performance. They ask what worked, what failed, what needs improvement. They do not repeat mistakes unconsciously. They adjust intentionally. Most people repeat days. Ultra-successful people refine days. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, you live on autopilot. With reflection, you become strategic. They also protect high-value time. They know energy is more important than hours. They work when their mind is sharp. They rest strategically. They do not confuse movement with progress. Busy does not mean productive. Focus means effective. Ultra-successful people build routines that protect focus, fewer distractions, clear goals, controlled schedules. They say no to good things so they can say yes to important things. Another ritual is health. You cannot perform at elite levels in a broken body. The ultra-successful treat health as capital. They manage sleep, food, movement, and stress. Because if your body fails, your ambition follows. Energy is the currency of success. You can have great ideas, but without energy, you cannot execute them. And finally, daily rituals build identity. When you act like a professional long enough, you become one. Your habits shape your self-image. Your self-image shapes your behavior. You do not wait to feel successful. You practice success until it becomes natural. Ladies and gentlemen, never ask, what do I want someday? Ask, what am I doing today? Because your destiny is hiding in your calendar. Ultra-successful people are not magical. They are methodical. They show up daily. They grow daily. They adjust daily. And when growth becomes a daily ritual, success stops being a wish and starts becoming inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the clearest lines between average lives and exceptional lives is responsibility. Most people spend their time explaining their problems. Ultra-successful people spend their time owning their problems. Ownership is the decision to stop blaming and start building. It is easy to say, the economy is bad, my background is difficult, my family didn't support me, my opportunities were limited. Those statements may be true, but they are also useless. They give you reasons, not results. Ultra-successful people understand something powerful. You cannot control the world, but you can control your response to it. The moment you take responsibility, you take back power. Ownership makes you strategic. When something goes wrong, average people ask, whose fault is it? Ultra-successful people ask, what's my move now? Responsibility is not about guilt. It is about control. If it is your responsibility, then it is also your ability. You are not responsible for where you started, but you are responsible for where you finish. Most people wait for conditions to improve. Ultra-successful people improve themselves within the conditions. They do not waste energy complaining about the wind. They adjust the sails. Another truth, responsibility creates respect. When people see you handle pressure, solve problems, and deliver without excuses, trust grows. And trust is currency in business, leadership, and life. You do not get paid for what you intend. You get paid for what you solve. Ultra-successful people become valuable by becoming reliable. They show up when it is hard. They do not hide behind circumstances. They become the person others depend on. And responsibility also builds internal strength. Every time you accept ownership, your confidence increases. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a decision maker. Victims ask, why me? Owners ask, what now? Owners operate from solutions. Victims operate from stories. Another element of responsibility is personal standards. Ultra-successful people do not compare themselves to others. They compare themselves to their potential. They hold themselves to higher rules than the environment demands. They ask, what is my best effort? What is my ethical standard? What is my performance expectation? When your standards rise, your results follow. Responsibility also includes how you use time. Time is life. Waste time and you waste opportunity. Ultra-successful people protect time like money. They schedule priorities, not just activities. If you do not manage your time, someone else will manage it for you. They also take responsibility for learning. Nobody owes you skill. Nobody owes you knowledge. Education today is self-driven. Ultra-successful people invest in books, mentors, training, and experience. They do not wait to be chosen. They prepare to be undeniable. And responsibility includes emotional control. You cannot control events, but you can control reactions. Ultra-successful people pause before they respond. They do not allow anger, fear, or ego to sabotage long-term goals. Short-term emotion destroys long-term vision. They choose professionalism over impulse. Ladies and gentlemen, responsibility is heavy, but regret is heavier. Blame feels light today. Ownership feels heavy today, but tomorrow those weights reverse. Ultra-successful people accept the weight early, so life becomes lighter later. They do not ask life for permission. They ask themselves for commitment. When you accept responsibility for your thinking, your habits, your relationships, your skills, and your future, you stop waiting for opportunity and start becoming it. And once ownership becomes your identity, success stops being something you chase and becomes something you attract. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most expensive problems in modern life is distraction. People are busy, connected, informed, yet unfocused. They move fast, but in random directions. Ultra-successful people, however, operate with clarity. They do not just work hard, they work on purpose. Focus is the ability to say no to almost everything so you can say yes to what truly matters. Most people allow the world to design their agenda. Messages, notifications, opinions, and emergencies decide their day. Ultra-successful people design their own priorities first and defend them aggressively. Because attention is power. Where your attention goes, your results grow. Vision is what directs that attention. Ultra-successful people see further than the present moment. They are not controlled by today's mood or this month's income. They are guided by long-term purpose. They ask, where am I going? Who am I becoming? What does success look like in 5 years? Without vision, activity becomes noise. You can climb fast and still be on the wrong wall. Strategic focus means knowing the difference between movement and progress. Many people are productive in unimportant areas. They answer emails, attend meetings, scroll feeds, and feel busy, but they are not building value. Ultra-successful people identify high-leverage actions. These are activities that create disproportionate results, learning rare skills, building relationships, creating assets, improving systems, and making decisions that compound. They do not do everything. They do the right things. They also understand that clarity removes stress. When you know your priorities, saying no becomes easy. You stop feeling guilty about protecting your time. You stop chasing every opportunity and start selecting the right ones. Not every opportunity is an advantage. Some are distractions in disguise. Ultra-successful people filter choices through vision. If something does not move them closer to their long-term target, it is politely declined. Another part of strategic focus is simplification. Complexity drains energy. Ultra-successful people simplify their goals, schedules, and commitments. They reduce chaos. They create structure. Simple executed well beats complex ignored. They also schedule thinking time. Most people are too busy reacting to think strategically. Ultra-successful people pause to evaluate direction, systems, and outcomes. They ask, is this working? Is this scalable? Is this aligned with my future? Progress requires thinking, not just doing. And focus also means protecting mental space. The ultra-successful manage information intake. They do not let negativity, gossip, and useless content pollute their mind. They choose what influences them. Your mind becomes like what you feed it. If you feed distraction, you produce confusion. If you feed vision, you produce direction. They also practice patience. Strategic focus is long-term. Many people quit too early because results are delayed. Ultra-successful people understand compounding. They stay consistent while others change strategies every month. Consistency is vision in action. They do not chase fast wins. They build durable success. Ladies and gentlemen, clarity is a competitive advantage. When your purpose is clear, your effort becomes powerful. When your focus is sharp, your time becomes valuable. When your vision is long, your decisions become intelligent. Stop asking, what should I do today? Start asking, who am I building long-term? Because ultra-success is not about doing more, it is about doing what matters longer. When focus becomes your habit and vision becomes your compass, success stops being random and starts becoming inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, success is not only about what you achieve, it is about what you become and what you leave behind. Many people chase money, titles, and recognition, but ultra-successful people chase impact. They do not ask, how much can I get? They ask, how much can I give? Because the highest level of success is significance. Ultra-successful people understand that influence multiplies achievement. One person can work hard, but a person who inspires others creates exponential results. That is why they develop leadership before they demand loyalty. Influence begins with character. People follow consistency, integrity, and competence. Ultra-successful people do not try to impress, they try to improve. And improvement naturally attracts attention. You do not become a leader by position. You become a leader by example. Another element is contribution. Ultra-successful people outgrow selfish ambition. They understand that wealth, skill, and knowledge gain value only when shared. They mentor, they teach, they open doors. They create environments where others can rise. If your success only benefits you, it is fragile. If it benefits others, it becomes permanent. Legacy is built in what continues after you stop working. Anyone can earn money, but not everyone can build people, systems, and ideas that last. Ultra-successful people think beyond the present quarter. They think in generations. They ask, what am I building that survives me? What values am I installing? What standards am I modeling? Your habits today become someone else's blueprint tomorrow. Another powerful habit is humility. Continuous elevation requires the willingness to stay teachable. The ultra-successful never assume they have arrived. They stay curious. They listen. They evolve. The moment you think you are finished growing, you begin shrinking. They also upgrade their environment. Growth is easier when your surroundings support excellence. They choose partners, teams, mentors, and communities that challenge them. They avoid spaces that normalize mediocrity. Environment shapes behavior. Behavior shapes destiny. Ultra-successful people also master renewal. They know burnout destroys vision, so they build rhythms of rest, reflection, and realignment. They pause to check alignment between values and actions. Success without alignment becomes empty. Achievement without purpose becomes heavy. They recalibrate, not just accelerate. And finally, continuous elevation means living intentionally. Ultra-successful people do not drift into the future. They design it. They write personal philosophies. They define principles. They operate from values, not pressure. They decide who they are before life decides for them. Ladies and gentlemen, money can buy comfort, but influence buys meaning. Titles can give status, but legacy gives relevance. Speed can create success, but direction creates fulfillment. Ultra-successful people understand that life is not measured by applause. It is measured by contribution. So ask yourself, what am I building? Who am I lifting? What will remain because I lived? Because the ultimate habit of the ultra-successful is not just to rise, it is to raise others while rising. And when your life becomes a source of growth for others, success stops being temporary and starts becoming timeless.